Welcome back, everybody, to Deal Room, where mortgage, real estate, and investment collides, and we pull back the curtain on how deals actually get done. My name is Hasty Kiamehr. I'm a mortgage broker, and I'm here with my co-host.
My name is Parham Shakeri. I'm a real estate broker.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about how deal actually gets done from start to close.
We're going to do a deep dive into the stages of the transaction that most people never really see. So what actually happens from the moment your offer is accepted until the day you get the keys. Because the truth is, the accepted offer isn't just the finish line. In many cases, it's just the beginning of the real work. And there are moving parts, surprises, and behind the scenes drama that most buyers and sellers or even new agents don't realize. So that's going to be our episode today, and I'm excited, Asi.
I'm excited too.
Well, I'll start off and I'll let you know what happens when a client gives me a call. And before we go out shopping, I had him qualified with my mortgage broker. We went in and we found the right property and our offer got accepted. Now, what I do with my offers, unless I have a cash buyer, which is very, very rare, I put something called a condition of finance. What I do as soon as the offer gets accepted is I take the accepted offer and all the pertaining documents, and I forward it to you, my mortgage broker. And I tell you, Hasty, we got till X amount of time, 5 business days, 10 business days, whatever the term is, to get our finances in order. Now you take it from there. What happens in that 5 to 10 days or whatever the financial condition is? What is it that you do?
So at this point, if we have already pre-approved the client, then we already know what the client wants. So a lot of work has already been done. The file is pretty much ready. We already discussed it with client, which options they prefer to start with. We have collected majority of documents. Some of them has to be updated. And then we go to work. So complete the file according to the property and send it off to the lender with all the documents. And that is where I start negotiating for the clients. If there is any extra thing that is needed, we go back to the clients, and hopefully if it's straightforward file, we get a commitment and we take it back to the client, review with them line by line. I like my client to know what they're signing, right? And then they sign and that condition is fulfilled. During that time, if an appraisal is needed, I would like to do that and have the report back just to make sure we're safe and have majority of documents reviewed and accepted by the lender.
Okay, that's good to know. In my offer, I put a condition on home inspection. So on my side of things, while you get all the documents as soon as it gets accepted, I'm also on the phone contacting my pre-qualified home inspectors. I try to get in the home inspection as soon as possible, because if there is any red flags with the home inspection, then I could let my mortgage professional know that, hey, we might not be able to fulfill on that condition. That's something that I like to do on the back end during the conditional period of an offer. When an offer is accepted based on a condition, it's sold conditional, and there's always a condition expiry date, and the buyer has until that time to either fulfill their conditions or back out of the deal. I appreciate your side of going through and making sure that the client is well aware of what they're signing, because once the conditions are fulfilled, then we go into a stage of a deal that we call firm. So what that means is there are no more conditions. It is a firm deal, and if you want to try and break the contract, you are going to get sued, whether you're a buyer or seller. So now that our conditions are fulfilled, what happens next? They were able to fulfill the financing and we were able to fulfill the home inspection clause. Now on the mortgage side, what happens next? What are we doing? Let's say the offer got accepted today and the closing date is 30 days from today.
During this time, really, we are gonna fulfill broker complete, which means the broker side is done. Now, lawyers are gonna get instructed. What that means is that lender is gonna send the instruction to the lawyers, all the stuff that they not need to do to get their side done. That usually doesn't happen until like 5, maybe 3 days before the closing. Lawyers don't have much time, which is that much more important for the broker side, for the clients to cooperate and send what we need to receive so we can finish the broker side, because as the broker side is getting delayed, now less and less time the lawyers have, right? And if we have FCT involved, which is what a lot of lenders use for the legal representation, that can also be tricky too, because they need about 10 business days before closing. The client lawyer, 5 to 3, and they get 10. So, which is why it's so important to do your due diligence ahead of time, why you have to qualify, because even when we are ready, there's just so many steps and so many work. And you have to keep in mind where people say, well, was it taking so long? What is so many questions? Why do we need this all the time? It's not like we send the file and it gets checked by a person and then it's good to go. We send the file in and it gets checked by the underwriter and we're good to go. So when the underwriter does their job, now it gets to send off to management. They have to sign it off. It gets sent off to risk management. That's different department. Then they sign off. And each time any one of them has a question, it comes back to the underwriter, and then we get resolved. It goes back to them. And then the last department is the FCT and the funding department, right?
Yeah.
If it's insured mortgage, which means you put less than 20%, you have an extra step of the insurance now have to do that. So it's a lot of steps, right? So this is why 30 days is considered quick closing,
Makes sense.
right? It's a lot of and then if you are purchasing a house in a hot market, right? Guess what? So has everybody else.
That's a good
Right?
point. That's a good point. Yeah. So on your end, within the time that the offer is firm, you're actively looking out for the client. You're communicating with the underwriter, and if they have any questions, you are the one that is being in touch. And I've seen how you communicate with myself. You communicate with the other team members, like our lawyers, and you kind of ask them, like, "Hey, did this happen? Like, what's going on here?" And you're updating, you're following up, which is great because you always make a little joke that I get to do the fun stuff with the client. I go shopping with them, and I see them at the closing again. But on the real estate side of things, what I end up doing from the time we firm up until the closing, I schedule my buyer visits with my buyer clients.
Yes.
Now, buyer visits, they allow us to go and take measurements. For example, you need to change the curtains, you want to paint, you want to do some upgrades to the house. That's when you're able to go and, take precise measurements, spend some time. You could use it to take a contractor with you to obtain quotes. Another service that I provide my clients is that I give them the list of utility providers. So when you get your key, you have your hydro, which is your electricity, you have your water, you have your gas, whatever it is, it's already been transferred, or it will be transferred to your name from closing date. So you have everything there. What else I provide for my clients is I'll go above and beyond if they have a school child and they need help, registering or finding out where to register, especially if they're going from like a region to another region, like they're going from Toronto to York region or vice versa, or Simcoe region or Durham. They're very similar, but also different in terms of they have their own procedures of how to register and whatnot. And I find out when their garbage schedule is, if it's in the wintertime, how the snow removal is in that township. Like the city of Vaughan, they actually have certain parts, I don't know if it's all of it, but certain parts, most of it, they come and they shovel the bottom of your driveway. As where, for example, in Markham, they do not do that. They just plow the roads, and then later on you have to either get a service or you do it yourself. You clean the bottom part of your driveway, right? A new home buyer, even sometimes experienced home buyers, they forget about it. So I tend to put that in my buyer's package. That's the kind of stuff that I do from when we firm up until we get the keys.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, One thing that I want people to understand, even though it's the duty of the realtor to help their client as a professional, they're not obligated by law to help their client to find when the garbage is, it's a service that is provided. And a lot of realtors don't. And one of the problems that as a brokers we have is that they actually disappear until the closing. We can't find the realtor. Client can't find the realtor. So the fact that you go beyond and above for your clients to do all that, I just want to make sure that people understand that this is not, it's a part of service that a professional choose, right? So if you're going out there and you're hearing this episode and you're like, well, I work with a realtor, how come they didn't do that? It's because technically they're not obligated. It's a choice that you want to offer a certain level of service to your client. And you're working with someone like Parham, you get that service. But if you also didn't do your homework, then don't be shocked if after acceptance you don't hear from your realtor until the closing.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that because it is true, and it comes back to the service that both of us provide, right? Like in our previous episodes, we've talked about pre-qualification and what we do, the conversation we have with the seller or with the buyer, right, with the client. And it's not that we are out there just trying to find the next deal. We're trying to make clients that are lifetime clients. I want to do the service in a way that in 10 years, when you're thinking of moving again, now that your child is not in high school anymore and they've moved away, you're an empty nester, you're going to give me a call and you're going to be like, you know what, circumstances have changed. And now we're looking for this.
Something that people have to keep in mind and not lose sight of is that you're dealing with people's lifetime saving, literal roof over their head and their future financial plan for their family. It's not a small thing that they're trusting you with. Having respect for that will definitely encourage you to have a certain level of service because it's very nerve wracking for people. It's a massive thing. I understand that respect and I understand what you're trusting me with. And I'm going to show you that I'm taking care of it and you're okay all the way to finish line with
And
and
you are.
beyond.
And yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're finish line and beyond, because you
Yeah.
follow up with your clients. I try my best to do the same. I'm learning from you, and you're great at following up and just making sure that, hey, how's it going? How's the move? How you doing? What are you up to? Like you actually do reach back to your clients. I don't know how you find time in your busy schedule, but you do an excellent job at that.
That's, that's
Everyone's
the best
happy.
part.
You're great at that. And I do see that. I want our listeners to know that it's hard work, but it's enjoyable. It's not just, hey, we got the offer done. Congratulations. Your lawyer will cover the rest.
Oh, well, for sure. Honestly, it's being part of someone's massive milestone. It's special, you know? Like you
Um,
were there when they got their first home. You were there when they needed to upgrade because they just had a baby. You were like, it's really special. So just that and helping someone to reach their goal and be excited about it, it's what makes all of it worth it, right? Because it is hard work for everybody. It's a lot of hard work. I know from outside it looks like that, oh, look at him. He shows few houses and he gets a massive commission. And I look at her, fill out an application, and get a massive commission. It really isn't that. And that's the story's sold. It's the reason there's people who get their license and within the first year they realize, oh no, this is not just any full-time job. This is a very hard full-time job.
yeah.
Yes, without that passion of wanting to actually make a difference in someone's life, it's a lot of stress and a lot of hard work. So if you don't have that passion side of it, it's not going to be a fun job for you. I've seen you show clients over 50 houses and, stayed late because you're negotiating with realtors and all that stuff, right? That's not easy. I mean, I personally wouldn't be able to do it. Like, me, I am good with data sets. I feel like I wouldn't even make it to the first showing. I had to ask my client, I'm like, oh, I'm lost. Can you come help
I'll
me?
just meet you there. No, but that is so true. I love that comment you just made. That you're like you wouldn't be able to do what I do, and I wouldn't be able to do what you do. So it shocks me, it surprised me, and it kind of just makes me scratch my head when I see a realtor who's also a mortgage agent, or vice versa. It's a mortgage agent and a realtor. Like
Never
you
understand that.
can't you can you can't be a jack of all trades, right?
No,
It just
especially
doesn't
those
work out.
trades.
It's you have to dedicate your time to the right people, to your clients, to the right service. Like if I were to do mortgages as a full time, I would never have a time to go and see a property. As where part of my job requires me to go and see homes. I'll go and pre-inspect a home. I'll research on it. I'll do some homework. It's not like, hey, houses came up, let's go see them, right? If that was the case, then that's a very easy way to demotivate a buyer or a seller. And it's a very interesting thing for me. It's a head scratcher when I see that your realtor is
Also,
also
like,
your mortgage agent.
if you're doing both, like, those are like both very much like done this for a while, but we are in constant, like, we look out to see if we can do extra trainings. Like, we are constantly have to
Uh-huh.
update ourselves. Like, when do you have time? And then also, majority of mortgage stuff happens during business hours, and majority of
Right.
real estate things happening after business hours and weekends.
Fortunately.
When do you ever do anything,
Yeah. How
right?
do you take care of
Like,
yourself?
how do you take care of any? What's the point of that anymore? Like, you're not living, right? I mean, we
That's right.
each just focus on our own, um, profession, and we're struggling to find time to, you know, uh, do stuff or just, just have a balanced life, right? So I just don't understand how is that even possible.
Yeah, so the nitty and gritty here is when your offer gets accepted and you have a competent team working for you, they're not just gonna say, okay, we'll see you later. They're going to still be working for you. They're going to be active behind the scenes. They're going to calm you down. Like you calm down a lot of my clients, especially the first time home buyers. Cause I know every time there's a question, they get scared and they call me, they call you, they call a lawyer, and you are great at handling their anxiety. And if someone's anxious, which is natural for a first home, it's one of your biggest purchases you're ever gonna do. It's your biggest investment for a majority of us. So it does make sense that there's a lot of
Oh, for sure.
uncertainty, a lot of anxiety, and you are so good at that. So I do appreciate that
I
as a
appreciate
partner.
it.
You're doing an excellent.
I
Thank
do
you,
start a
and
lot
thank you
of
for your
my
insights.
conversations with, um, don't worry, it's not a bad news. It's just a routine question.
Oh yeah.
So yes, but yeah, it does take a lot of time in between, and in future episodes we can talk about some like details of what happens when mistakes happen and how we can take care of it and some stuff. But yeah, that's just of it. That's the gist of it. It's a lot of work in between. It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, this was another great episode. If anyone has any question, please reach out to us. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.